I'm hiding out from the wind for just a minute to let you know what I'm planting today, what we're starting in the spring garden here at Time Pastures. Yes, there are cornhole boards behind me that are Packers and Steelers. I was a big football fan for more than a decade. Now Sundays are spent here, so it's not that I dislike football. I just have something completely different to do with my time. So I was a big Packers fan. I've been to Lambeau Field, not from Wisconsin, just fell in love with the fan club and the camaraderie there. My husband, Ryan, is from Pittsburgh, so he's a big Steelers fan. So, yes, we have cornhole boards that were part of our intense football rivalry. But now, yeah, he keeps up with the Steelers a little bit, and I just spend my Sundays doing all kinds of fun things on the farm and outside. So, today I am planting our garden that we have tilled and have kind of used haphazardly for the last couple years. I know I keep using that word, but definitely not a super knowledgeable gardener. I just kind of plant and see what happens, and I'm gonna learn so much more as we are here full time and I can actually give the garden the time and attention that it deserves. So this today I've got, so we're in the middle of March. We do have a couple of cold nights this week, so I'm a little worried about it. Always seems to drop a little colder than it says, but I don't think we'll have true like frost and there's no hard freeze anymore. So I've got Benning's Green Tint Summer Squash from High Mowing Organic Seeds. And I'm excited because this looks like patty pan squash, which I love to cook with, and I have bought at the farmer's market before. So I'm excited to try my hand at it my own this year. Sugar snap peas. I have some seeds left from last year. These did really well in the raised bed, but they got some kind of mold or fungus that wiped them out after just a month or so when they started putting on peas. So I'm not sure what happened there. I typically use neem oil for pests. Grasshoppers are a plague on our hobby farm here. So usually I'm treating with neem oil to try to keep the grasshoppers off, but this was definitely looked like some kind of powdery mildew. I didn't know that that would affect snap peas, but I do know it affects squash. Definitely wiped out our crop a little early, which was disappointing. I've got zucchini and excited to try zucchini. I have done incredibly well with squash here. Our squash loves our soil, which is not the best by any means. We did amend the garden with cow manure and a little bit of nitrogen a couple weeks ago and tilled all of that in. So that should help give the garden a boost to start. But yeah, squash loves our soil. It's very prolific here. And I've got my little garden starter set. So I think I will probably in this garden try some beets and radishes since they don't need too much room to grow. Maybe some lettuce if I can find a spot that looks like it's kind of safe from treading on it. You always have to figure out, okay, where am I going to walk in my garden so as not to mess up my crops. And it's got cucumber. Had really good luck with cucumber in the past too. So all of those are going to be started today. So we'll have crops going by hopefully May. And it's definitely going to start warming up here in Texas. So I look forward to watching all of these little seeds get started. I do have a challenge in that the field fence around it still allows for rabbits to get in. So I am going to have to be very careful and probably put up some hardware cloth before next weekend when the sprouts start coming up. I have had bush beans eaten down to the nub. I thought maybe it was grasshoppers, but I'm pretty certain it was rabbits. So we'll see how that goes. I see little bunny poop all over the place, which is good fertilizer, I hear, but also don't want to making a snack out of my lettuce and all my fun stuff I'm putting in the garden. So that's next on the list. I may run into town tomorrow and get some of that because I don't think we have any on hand here. Might have some left from the chicken coop, but I'll have to see. So that's that's what's going on this morning, and I'm about to get started with my planting. It's still kind of tilled up, so I'm gonna smooth it all out, put my rows in, and then probably won't get the whole garden planted just because it's a pretty big space and I just need maybe one row of each of these plants. So that'll leave some space for corn. Ryan wants to do corn again this year, and I've got some peppers in peat pellets back in the city, and so those will be sprouting and I'll be able to plant my pepper plants. I'm out of breath. I got the entire garden raked. There's a lot more debris than I would have hoped. So there's definitely some rocks and gravel. There's a lot of old weeds and like the bunch grass that was trying to grow up in here that we got out with the tilling. So yeah, not the best. But we don't have great soil to work with to begin with. So, you know, I know that this garden will come along every single year. By next year, hopefully even by fall, might have some better compost to work with, because now that we're here and have a house here and I'll be cooking here, I can have my kitchen scraps and the cow manure and everything to go into a compost bin and have some really nice rich compost to put out here next spring. So we will work with what we've got this year, and I'm sure it will be fine. I will give it a lot more love and attention than I've been able to in the past. And it did harden a little more than I would have liked since we tilled it. So I probably could stand to work it one more time, but I just don't know that it's gonna do a lot of good. We noticed last year it would just harden in between waterings. So I will just keep it watered more frequently. I will probably add some compost as topsoil and some mulch or whatever I need to do to make sure that this crazy wind doesn't just blow away all of our good soil, because that's probably a little bit of what happened since we tilled it too. So I am about to get started with planting, and then it'll just be a patch of dirt for a little bit, but I'll be excited to follow the progress of our plants and let you follow along too. Even though my watering method might have been a little unconventional, I was able to water pretty close to the ground, a little at a time, to keep the soil from flying away while I was finishing up this project. So I've got all my veggies. I wrote it down in my gardening journal, or my homestead journal, as to what everything is. So we've got beets, radishes, lettuce, sugar snap peas, cucumbers, zucchini, patty pan squash. I feel like I'm missing something, but that's why I write it down. And yeah, 2 hours, I don't know, $35, $40 worth of seeds, early May, will all be worth it if this is teeming with green and starting to put on our very own veggies. I promise you the videos get better. I learned a lot in the early days. I now even know which direction to tilt the camera, and the garden thrived for the spring. So subscribe to Time Pastures and you'll be able to see all of the vegetables I harvested and whether or not I hit that $35, $40 mark.